Now, do we need a limit on migration? Former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick is calling on the government to commit to reducing net migration with an annual cap. You just say this far and no further. Net migration is the difference between the number of people entering the country and the number emigrating. That's legal migration we're talking about. In 2022, net migration was a record 745,000. Last year, it was 672,000. And what we'll do is we'll have a little look at these numbers compared to the population of some of our biggest cities. And you'll like this because I went on the AI today and I said to AI, give me Liverpool in the style of Van Gogh. Isn't that interesting? That's what it gave. So AI, I don't know what you think of that. Starry, starry night. Liverpool population, 486,000. Manchester, I said, give it to me steampunk. That's what they gave me. And the population here, we mustn't get too excited by AI because we're on work hours here. Glasgow, I asked for Monet. Okay, it gave me, that's it. You may or may not think that's good. 620k. Sheffield, I then said Salvador Dali, who's the kind of crazy Spanish guy. I don't know if that looks like any part of Sheffield, I've got no idea. But it's 556k. They're all much of a muchness, these. And Edinburgh's population, again, and I think Edinburgh, what I said to it, it was just giving me, it's basically done quite well there. 526k. So this just shows that all these cities have roughly the same number of people in them, and all of them, 486, 551, 620, 556, 526, are lower than the annual migration total. And that's not even, we're not even on the small boats here, okay? Jenrick says the government has broken its promise to take back control of Britain's borders after leaving the EU. He says migrants are a burden on the economy. And if all this, he says, migration is rocket fuel for our economy, growth would be booming and wages would be rising. So the fact remains, every year we have, let's say, a new Glasgow arrive. Mike, would you say we've got to limit this?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's completely out of control, and it has been out of control for years, and no politician's done anything about it. When Cameron said we'll get it down to the tens of thousands, that was when he said, I'm heir to Blair. Since the Blair government days, of course, gates were open, gone up massively, and it stayed up there. And please observe the point that's been made there. If it was so good for the economy, why is our economy flatlining every year?
Oh,
there is no growth whatsoever in our economy.
We're going to blame the economy, the state of the economy, on immigration.
The cost of immigrants in this country, Marina, is massive.
It's the cost of Tories that is inflicting this lack of
It's the cost of having to find
GDP
accommodation.
growth.
It's the cost of giving them, a decent life here whilst they're waiting to be processed,
okay? You know what you're doing,
and it's
Mike?
very expensive.
You're conflating illegal migration with legal migration.
No,
because, so that number was particularly high. We had a huge year, right, about 700,000.
Yeah.
That was an unusually high year, but that was because we had people coming in with visas for Ukraine, Hong Kong, lots of students, whatever. There are no Dublin agreement.
And all legal. There might be a sliver
Lots of these people, though, this is where, let's stop being so ideologically driven here. I agree, you can't just have open borders, by the way.
That's what we've got at the moment.
OK, all right, we've got it at the moment. By the way, really rich from Robert Jenrick, who was immigration minister, coming out saying all this. It was his jurisdiction. Under his jurisdiction, that it rose threefold. But I just think, let's stop seeing this as arbitrary. He's just plucked this number, 100k, we should cap it out of his bottom. Like, let's not forget that there was a cap in place. Do you know who abolished it? Boris Johnson. Because even he saw sense that we, as a country, need immigration. You've got Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Can we do 1 million a year, for example? Is that what that? I mean, I don't know.
I'm not going to pluck a number out, but if I was in government,
we might be able to.
I would be looking at where are the gaps in our industry? Where do we need to get visas? We even know that Britons support immigration for where there are gaps. We support that.
Well, care workers, we need care workers. They come in and they help there. NHS,
yes.
We need them. They come in and they help
Precisely.
there. That's fine, because that's targeted.
That is
targeted.
That's not what they're doing.
What we can't do is supporting family members of people who are here legally by saying, OK, they're part of the package. We've got to get rid of all that. You keep telling me I'm conflating. I'm not. I'm giving you the situation.
You're talking about the small boats, which per year is about 40,000 people.
No, he's talking
about students.
Coming in legally as relatives of those who are here
Exactly.
Legally, right?
Exactly. Students come in, and then 4 or 5 members of their family join them, and then...
But shouldn't we celebrate this, Mike? This shows that this country is popular.
That's such you basically wouldn't want my mum joining my dad. That's essentially what you're saying.
It's more than popular. It is the fact that we are extremely generous. We're welcoming, we're generous. We are, in the words of some politicians, a soft touch. And in the words of the French say we are a soft touch. I believe we should have had identity cards years ago because there's a massive black economy in this country and a lot of people come here to work in the black economy.
But you can't. One thing we've discovered is that you can't just say to a group of people you can't have anything once they're here.
Well, of course you can't, because we're a civilised country. We're not going to let them starve. Exactly. And we give them accommodation, we give them food and money and, make sure that they live a civilised life. But it's very, very expensive.
Stephen in Warwickshire. Hi, Steve.
Oh, yeah. We just seem to go after the poorest in society, don't we? We need immigrants in this country to do the jobs in this country that people don't want to do.
Well, are we able to take 750,000 a year?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah?
I think though we should hunt Tories, not foxes. Because I've got this all wrong here. We should go after Tories.
Let's not go into that because we're trying to have a serious debate here rather than. Can
I also add something? Jacob Rees-Mogg, he speaks on his, crappy news channel, whatever, and talks about the declining birth rate and we should all be having kids, and he's done his duty with his 6 children, right? Do we have a declining birth rate? Do we have an issue about our decreasing population? Yes, we do. Even Jacob Rees-Mogg acknowledges that. We do not have the population to fill the jobs we need for our growth, for our economy. Yeah. So let's start being pragmatic about this.
Wouldn't it be also a good idea if we got the 9.5 million people who are economically inactive in this country into some of the jobs which you say migrants can do? Why can't our own people do them? They're here already.
I agree, but I think there is, like I've said, I think if you're a kid, if you're a teenager right now and you've been brought up in this country, what are your motivations? If you're from a lower class, poorer background, working class background.
Eating is one,
That is a motivation, but now it's a case of what's the point?
Well, hang on a minute.
Well, that's because we've got a very generous welfare state.
Not. I'm going to tell you why it is. Right, why is it? The FTSE 100 is always outperforming, shareholder growth is always on the up, and yet the little person is always squeezed. Trickle-down economics does not work. We need to redistribute wealth, and that is going to get more people back into work.
We're talking here about migration. Peter in South Yorkshire, hi.
Hi. Hello.
What do you think? Can we have, let's see, a Manchester every year arriving legally?
Well, no. I think at the end of the day, there's just too much immigration in this country.
So you'd want us to stay, 65 million or thereabouts?
Yes, I think that it's costing us so much money, and that and as much as I feel sorry for some of them, a lot of this money could be put into NHS or into other worthy cause. The hotels are costing us a fortune. I think it's in the region of £3 to £5 billion a year.
Well, that's the boats and all that stuff. That's a slightly separate thing, isn't it?
Still part of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're not. But the people,
part of it, yes.
I don't think the people in these numbers are going to live in hotels. I don't think.
They might be students. They might be coming over here to work in the care homes. By the way, just so if Robert Jenrick got his way and it was capped at £100,000, who do you think is going to look after your elderly relatives when they end up in a care home? Who's going to do it?
Some of the 9.5 million in this country who don't work. You've already said that. You already said we should get them back into work. Why can't we put some of the money into regenerating our own workforce before bringing people in?
Let's speak to Angelia, who's in North Yorkshire, and a nurse, I gather, Angelia.
Hi, good afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning. What do you think of this?
Yes, I am a nurse. I have worked within the NHS and social care here and abroad.
Okay.
My concerns are that, we allow nurses from overseas, from red countries. Who looks after those patients over there? They come over here. Not everyone has a good level of English speaking and written and grammar. So if that causes issues for professionals, it certainly causes issues for the patients. But my concern is that, you allow this member of the team to come over, then they have to bring their extended families over.
That's interesting.
We all know that, they're large families from these types of communities. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have any of these people over, but as the gentleman on the panel's just stated, we have so many people unemployed in this country. We could plug our own areas within social care, within the NHS, but too many people are far too lazy and don't want to do a good day's hard work
So you're saying
we're
taking pre-trained nurses, let's say, from countries that don't want to lose them, and they then bring over large families, and that's how we get to this number. Is that right?
Well, not completely, but that's one aspect, I believe.
What's the answer?
Sorry, what was that?
What's the answer to it?
The answer is that we need to do in-house training, homegrown. We've got so many people unemployed, but we're so focused on the NHS, we don't think about social care. And you can get people in, you can train people how to look after other people correctly, and you can plug them areas quite efficiently. You don't need to be bringing people in overseas to do this.
Okay, understood.
I'm just going to say, if I had a loved one in a care home, I'd much rather have someone from overseas who wanted to do the job looking after them than someone that was forced to work there against
But you
their
don't
will.
force people to work.
You would.
No, the overseas person
You make
might
it
feel
attractive for them
forced.
to work.
But it's not attractive,
And it
that's
should
my
be
point.
explained that your mental health can improve, we know this from the last debate, if you've got a job to go to each day and you're helping other people. And we need to bring those factors together.
For some people, yes.
But
for
Mike,
other people, it wouldn't work.
A lot of people, I mean, in order to be a good care worker, you've got to surely grow up with a sense of vocation.
Yeah.
So you're going to go to somebody who, a young person who's adrift in the world and say, you can be a care worker. And he's going to go, unnecessarily, he's going to, I've never even thought of that.
Why can't you? When do you ever see an advert for care workers? When do you ever see a government advert saying care workers needed, full training?
They're underpaid.
Well,
they're treated terribly.
In that case, revise the system.
Agree, this is what we're talking about.
The pay, well, OK, so we've got minimum wage or living wage or whatever, but the issue is that they don't feel they have to work to eat. Is that your point?
It is. I think the welfare system in this country, 265 billion, that's the budget a year, just makes it easy for people not to get out of bed in the morning. And that's bad for everybody. It's bad for the economy, bad for mental health, and bad for the dynamism of this country. OK,
we're asking whether we need a limit on migration. David in Southampton, hello.
Hello.
Do we need a limit, David? I'm just looking at those numbers over there. Sheffield, 556. I mean, that's more than the population of Sheffield every year.
Well, you see, the thing is, I believe that we are a selfish nation. There are certain things that we will never do because it's too below us. And I do, but I just feel that, we need some form of immigration to do the jobs that we wouldn't do. As I explained to your researcher, it's exactly the same with people that have stress. They can go out into the fields and get some fresh air.
Can they?
Instead of being stuck at home and this sort of stuff.
So somebody suffering anxiety, you'd say maybe a bit of fruit picking.
Well, it gets them out.
Yeah, I agree.
You see, the thing is, the problem is, especially in cities, they can't. Where can they go?
Well, I think we've all agreed you can't get the health care, which is an absolute tragedy. If you've got mental illness, you literally wait years for anyone to see you.